priority areas to help Dominica out of poverty discussed at a one-day consultation Wednesday. The European Union and other foreign governments commit to a plan to benefit Dominica and its farmers. And Tropical Storm Erica pushes a local business $1 million in the red. I am Lurian Graham Carter with the Channel 5 News. Details coming up. Topping the news, priority areas to help Dominica out of poverty during the 2017 to 2021 period have been discussed at a one-day consultation in Dominica on Wednesday.
That was the aim of a day-long UN Caribbean Multi-Country Sustainable Development Forum Wednesday. Various stakeholders met to discuss the main areas the country should focus on as it seeks to stay on track with its aim of sustainable development. The United Nations was looking to obtain key strategic ideas on how to assist Dominica.
For Barbados and the OECS, the first United Nations Development Assistance Framework, or UNDAF, was created in 2011 for the period 2012 to 2016. And as we entered the penultimate year of that program, and we reflected on the progress in the implementation of that program, and compared our work with the other United Nations teams in the region, that's Belize, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, and Guyana, we realized there was a great deal of commonality across our work.
Consultations have also been held in other Caribbean islands in an attempt to get them engaged in sustainable development practices.
In more major news, it will take $1 million for an accommodation in the village of Delices to totally restore operations due to impact caused by Storm Erica.
Olala Villas in Point Mulat, Delices boasts of quality accommodation for the budget-conscious traveler. Now visitors will not be able to delight in this unique experience offered by the Mark family. This also means 4 people no longer have a steady income, and some level of economic activity brought by guests during the tourist season in Delices is lost. The Mark family eventually moved from the property when access was possible.
The building is a 3-story building. On the ground floor, where we have 2 apartments, there's a big slide went into the room, so you have a big tree just on a bed. So thank heavens it was some divine intervention that the storm didn't happen at night, because we had guests staying, and it was, there was mud right up to the ceiling. I would put that at roughly $1 million EC dollars.
Their largest villa and poolside have been destroyed. Outdoor kitchen and relaxation cabanas are damaged, and what used to be a flourishing agro-tourism business is no more. While Discover Dominica Authority reported that Olala was one of 10 accommodations working to reopen shortly, its owner says reopening is out of her hands.
At the moment, what we're looking at is an access issue, as especially on a larger scale, there's the access issue of the Botico Bridge. At the moment, 6 weeks on, and it's still blocked. It's not, it's not motorable. But in our area itself, we had a problem with access. We had slides that block our access road. So we were locked in for about 4 weeks. And as of a week ago, the landowner and the property developer, she's just cleared our access road, but it's still incomplete, and we've asked her to come back and clear it.
The cruise season has just begun, and as it nears the peak tourist season, it will be imperative for such a business to open. Mark says tourist season at her place looked pretty good.
It was really expanding, really exciting. A lot of bookings were coming through. Like this summer, we were fully booked. Our facility was quite unique in Dominica. So it's really imperative that we come back up and open the door. And also, we did agro-tourism. That's one of our speciality. Erika took something like 3,000 pineapples for us. And, we had, the concept of a wellness retreat. I had Sister Nat here who's a wellness specialist in Dominica. She was at my retreat. It would be a big impact or a significant impact, especially for our area, because right now with Jungle Bay not there. We just need some economic activity in the area, and also we can expand a little bit as well to employ a few more staff.
In other top stories, the European Union and other foreign governments have committed to a plan that will satisfy the needs of farmers and benefit Dominica. On Tuesday, the Ministry of Agriculture hosted a farmers' forum which was attended by Cabinet, CARDI, the FAO, a Chinese mission, Venezuela, the AID Bank, AICA, NDFD, European NAO, and Dexia. Minister for Agriculture Johnson Drygo revealed statistics which shows that agriculture contributed to 17% of the country's gross domestic product (GDP) and employed 17,000 or 21% to the active workforce. Drygo says the most recent budget address outlined a program of investment that would show an overall growth of 2.5%. He says the passage of ERICA has reversed all of this.
Recent assessments have indicated that GDP growth for 2015 is now projected to be 0.8%, rather than 1.9% higher than 2014 in real terms.
Drygo says the Ministry of Agriculture now has planned strategies for some of the key pillars of the sector which form part of the dialogue. These included coffee and cocoa, banana and plantain, root crops and vegetables, livestock and the abattoir, bay and other essential oils. He says government has received an agreement from the European Union under the Banana Accompanying Measures BAM for the reprogramming of the resources.
The reprogramming will address critical needs such as expanding the scope of work on farm access roads, production support to livestock and key crops, and intervention to enhance production in the bay and essential oils. Ladies and gentlemen, this government has not failed in its own efforts towards restoration of agriculture.
The minister indicated that although the ministry suffered an over $100 million loss, they have received foreign commitments.
In an effort to mobilize additional support to the agriculture sector in Dominica, OECS Ministers of Agriculture convened a video conference sometime last week, and we received firm commitment by ministers that they would give priority to importation of Dominican produce into their respective countries.
In more agriculture news, Dominica's banana farmers could find a favorable market in Trinidad and Tobago.
Banana production accounts for slightly over 20% of total crop production here. Statistics show that banana production is the country's single largest agricultural activity. A 1992 study by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture indicated that despite problems of the banana sector, no single major crop has yet challenged the dominant position of bananas in the economies of the Windward Islands. Today, banana is still one of the major export crops of Dominica. Banana and plantain earns about 21 million EC dollars annually, according to the Director of Agriculture. Bananas account for about 17% of Dominica's gross domestic product. And against an over $100 million in damage due to the agriculture industry due to Storm Erika, agricultural authorities are preparing banana farmers to increase production.
In the industry, we have opportunities. Opportunities at the marketplace. There's increasing growing demand, particularly in the region. In Trinidad, for example, Suriname sends into Trinidad at least 70 containers of bananas every week. Because of MOCO in Suriname, this demand, or this supply, has been reduced drastically. So Trinidad has gotten from Suriname collectively from 115 to less than 70 containers. That gives us the opportunity to move into Trinidad with more bananas.
Government had to import 60,000 banana plantlets from France earlier this year to combat a drop in banana production due to black sigatoka. A first batch of 20,000 plantlets has been distributed to farmers following a weaning and hardening process.
Our interventions are aimed at building competitiveness and building productivity. So we are targeting 2,500 acres of bananas and plantains. We are looking for core, committed, can-do farmers. We are going to increase support from a government standpoint, and importantly so, under the BAM. We are looking at improving on technology. We are employing our partners to work with us, to join our hands to ensure we reach our mark.
Coming up, reaction to the Privy Council judgment on the Lennox Linton Kiran Peanut Bird defamation matter. Welcome back. Dominica on Wednesday hosted a consultation on the Caribbean Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework. The consultation aims to highlight ways in which Dominica can engage in sustainable development practices during the period 2017 to 2021. This discussion falls within the framework of the post-2015 Sustainable Development Agenda for the Caribbean. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. It ensures that economic development is conducted without depletion of natural resources.
The agenda for the Caribbean seeks not only to reverse decades of lagging regional economic performance, but also create the necessary transition to balanced, holistic, people-centered growth and sustainable development. Dominica, like its regional counterparts, face a myriad of challenges which the multi-country sustainable development framework identified in 4 areas that represent interconnected dimensions of sustainable development, namely economic, social, environmental, and governance.
Despite Dominica's attempts to practice sustainable development methods, there are several obstacles facing the country.
The main development challenges facing Dominica, like its regional counterparts, are linked to high public debt levels, which constrain economic growth and reduce available funding for social sector programs. Social sector development challenges extend to issues such as poverty, unemployment, gender equity, including participation of males at secondary and tertiary education, health and survival risks posed by teenage pregnancy, HIV and AIDS, among others. The ravages of Tropical Storm Erica has further highlighted that Dominica's environmental challenges are significant and present one of the most complex areas for the country to address.
Climate change has also been cited as one of the major challenges affecting Dominica.
The issues of climate change and our proactive response to mitigate the impact of climate change are of paramount importance, even more so in the aftermath of the storm. The only feasible response to those challenges is a transition to sustainable development. There is a growing realization that sustainable development is a necessity for survival of the modern world.
In other stories, Petit Savan Primary School is operating with a reduced school population this time around.
Fewer students have enrolled into the Petit Savan Primary School than expected for this academic year. A shift system for the Petit Savan Primary School started 2 weeks ago with the Newtown Primary School at the Bath Estate Teachers Campus. Newtown Primary School is using the Bath Estate campus while their school building is under construction. Classes for Petit Savan students run from 1 to 5 p.m. while Newtown Primary at 8 a.m. and ends at 12:30 p.m.
Well, since the transition, we have the full complement of staff, but not students. We actually lose quite a number of our students. Our enrollment projected for the school year was of 79, and we resumed here with 45. So we lose quite a number of our students because of where some of the parents are now located, For example, we have some parents and some of the students are now in Bagatelle, some in Grand Bay, and a few of them were, of course, absorbed by some of the schools in the Roseau area. So we lose quite a number of students. We also have our pre-K, which operates in a different shift because of the age of the children. They are now going from 8 to 1, the pre-K section, which is just about 10 students.
Less study time in the classroom and an entirely different environment to learn in has not affected students, according to Samuel.
I am very delighted that the students have adapted to the new situation, the new environment. We did not have too many complaints, and the timing that they go home, I thought it would be creating some difficulties, but things are working. We have had the assistance of the Ministry of Education that provides transportation of the students to get them to and from school. The primary school building in Petit Savan, we had landslides towards the entire length, towards the back of the building, and the school kitchen was broken partially and created some real havoc in the area. So it's really unsafe to really have hard sessions.
2 months after Tropical Storm Erica, one would think it would be a stressful time for students. Still, Samuel says things are slowly getting back to normal. He is equally concerned with the well-being of the Petit Savan teachers.
In the first week of school, even into the beginning of the second week, the teachers were still, struggling with accommodation situations, and they found it difficult. They were not really settled down. Although they tried their best to be at school, we had some of them with difficulties in, finding a place to live still. So I believe in the second week, everybody is somewhere. So things are a little more stable now on staff.
Reaction has come from all sides over the last 2 days on a Privy Council ruling, which has upheld an appeal by Chartered Accountant Kieran Pinat-Byrne in a defamation case against Lennox Linton. Here is Mr. Pinat-Byrne's response to the decision.
My extraordinary professional challenges from the ill-fated 1992 to 2002 Lyou River Hotel projects, political sabotage, character assassinations, construction fraud, and the 1997 natural disaster are ended. The legal due process 2003 to 2015 in the High Court, Court of Appeal and the Privy Council stands complete and speaks for itself as a matter of public record, if not an exposé on how a Machiavellian, Linton-esque modus operandi goes kaput, a legal dossier to corroborate Einstein's theory. He who sets himself up as judge and jury of truth is shipwrecked by the laughter of the lords. Since 2003, Mr. Linton failed to take the ethical or honourable course. Instead, he was publicly defiant, if not brazen, from pillar to post. Consequently, he now owes abject mea culpas to the indemnified Kyrie FM, his web weaver, the late Sir Raglan, his shadow witnesses, former Prime Minister Edison James and Frederick Barron, and his alter ego, Q95. He owes a resigned, profuse public apology and repentance for his revealed, public, rankling, willful sins to the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Mr. Linton's reaction was also carried on the national radio station, DBS.
If I am to interpret what is said in the judgment, where the Privy Council is upholding the appeal of Kieran Pinat-Byrne and effectively saying that the Court of Appeal should not have allowed my appeal of the judgment of Justice Cottle. What the Privy Council is in fact saying is that it was not right for me to have said that Mr. Pinat-Byrne is a beneficiary of the sale of Dominican passports, when Mr. Pinat-Byrne himself reported in the accounts of Oriental Hotel in Dominica Limited that he made $820,000 over a couple of years from working for that company as its owner's representative for his expenses and his fees. And to say that he was a beneficiary of the sale of passports, when it was the revenue stream into that company was wholly and solely the sale of passports, I don't know how the High Court could have arrived at that. I don't know how the Appeal Court could have supported it, and I still don't know how the Privy Council could support it. Mr. Byrne was serving as secretary for all of these companies organized by Grace Tong and David Sue and himself and others. And at the same time, he also accepted the responsibility of liquidator for the Fort Young Hotel, whose asset was sold to the very same person that he was working for, the same companies that he was working for. I saw a conflict of interest there. I thought that I would make the observation that there was a conflict of interest. The High Court, the Appeal Court, and the Privy Council have found that to be defamatory.
Senior Counsel Anthony Astafan represented Kieran Pinat Byrne in the matter. Your sports highlights coming up next. A local cricket commentator says West Indies cricket has been struggling for a while now, and the management of West Indies cricket needs to revise its strategy to revamp the sport. Joseph Thomas says the West Indies Cricket Board needs to look at cricket statistics from when the West Indies team was doing well and benchmark their strategy in order to revamp West Indies cricket to the high standard to which it was held.
West Indies cricket has been in shambles for a number of years. The fact that we won, and we won tremendously during a period of time, it all seemed to put that on the back burner. What involves you? Any sport in which you're involved. When you're winning, nothing happens, you know. We're playing fine, we're doing good, we're nice, whatever it is. When you start losing, that is the time all the skeletons start to come out in the cupboard. And all the blame. When the West Indies started to do poorly was at the time when a lot of our cricketers who had contracts in England, weren't afforded those contracts again. And therefore you find what would happen is that the West Indies players played their domestic season here in the West Indies and went off to England, most of them during the winter months, July, August, September, that kind of thing, and played a lot of cricket there and then came back home. So they were always playing cricket. What the West Indies board should have done, should have realized this and put a plan, a program in place to capture that.
He says while it's usually difficult to beat a team on their home ground, and despite the recent history of West Indies cricket, he is confident that the team can improve its performance moving forward should they change their strategy. In more cricket news, Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bat in the first test match against West Indies. Sri Lanka scored 250 for 2 with Karunaratne scoring 135 not out and Shandimal 72 not out in 90 overs. Day 2 of England's tour of United Arab Emirates saw England with 56 runs, with Cook scoring 39 not out and Ali 15 not out in 21 overs. And in the second ODI of the South Africa Tour of India, South Africa produced 225 runs in 43.4 overs, while India replied with 247 for 9 in 50 overs. India won the match by 22 runs. The third ODI takes place on Sunday, where the teams will face off once more. Coach of the Windward Volcanoes says with the exception of weather conditions, his team's training has been going well. He says the training strategy has been to increase endurance on the field, as this has proven effective since stamina is critical to play the sport.
I think one of the areas we need to improve on, and that we mentioned about, is our concentration for longer periods. And I think we have seen that. The bowlers are trying to get the ball in the right areas so that it could create pressure on the batters. So all of these things we're trying to do in our fielding, try to have a lot of energy in the field and just be effective as possible. And once we do that, our objective will be met in terms of our training.
So those
Volcanoes is expected to have practice matches on Friday, Saturday and Sunday in preparation for a match in November where they will go up against Guyana on their home ground. The Vincentian cricket coach says he is confident that his team will perform well since their performance has been excellent over the years, as they now focus on claiming the championship.
Well, I'm expecting good things because for the past years or so we've been consistently in the top 3, and our ultimate this year is to win the championship. We have won the championship already on 3 occasions, but we haven't won the 4 days. So that is our main objective for this tournament, I think.
It is often said you never miss the water till the well runs dry. That expression never rang more true than after Tropical Storm Erica. Thanks to the WASCO, most of our systems are back online. Our flashback segment is next.
Welcome to this week's flashback. On this date, 21 years ago, 14th October 1994, the former acting director of Forestry and Wildlife, Arlington James, made an appeal to Dominicans to take more responsibility for unprotected water catchment areas in Dominica, especially those situated on private properties.
Dominica's water catchments or reservoirs are under some threat of pollution. That's according to Arlington James, acting director of the Forestry and Wildlife Division. Mr. James says that the well-protected catchments are mostly found in the forest reserves or in the national park. The majority of the unprotected water catchments are on private land, and it is where the problem lies.
Water catchments located in forested areas and preferably on lands which belong to the state, so at least you could have better controls. But that is not always practical because of the cost involved in acquiring some of those areas.
James says that DOASCO is trying to do their part in educating Dominicans.
DOASCO, I know they are engaging on a massive public awareness campaign, which of course would have to do with conserving of water, conserving of the forests that provided water for us. So I think they are playing a very vital role, not only in supplying water to the communities, but in terms of educating people about some of the wrong practices that we normally engage in with regards to our water sources.
When asked if DOWASCO could do more to protect the reservoirs, Mr. James could not comment. He suggested, however, that it was also a public responsibility.
Some people have to show a bit more concern and realize that we are the ones who have to drink that water. So we should try to avoid, for example, tethering animals above the intakes to reduce the use of agrochemicals in the land above the intake as well. Because we may not come down with a rash right away, but we know for a fact that within the last few years, a number of people have been going on with cancer, and cancer is one of the leading causes of death in Dominica now. As to whether that could be tied back to our water catchments, we're not quite sure. But I think if we at least reduce the amount of pesticide use within our catchments, that could be a step in the right direction.
21 years later, it is quite evident that DOWASCO has stepped up and over the years started a campaign to reduce the risk of pollution of water in catchment areas. This includes educating the public on harmful practices around catchment areas. Example, the Water and Sewage Act under Chapter 43, Section 40 of the Laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica and Statutory Rules and Order number 13 of 1995, the intake works and the areas upstream of it are restricted areas. Hence, all human activities made incompatible with a Class A or Class B stream and water catchment are thereby prohibited. These include camping, including picnic, in and bathing, road construction, logging, including chainsaw harvesting, agricultural activity using agrochemicals, and any other activity deemed to affect the quality of the potable supply extracted from this source. Just a small reminder that it is also your responsibility to continue safe practices around restricted areas and adhere to the rules set by forestry officials and DOWASCO to ensure our water is safe for usage. I am Janik Delmar Samuel. See you next week on another flashback from Dominica's interesting news from the past.
More in your weather report coming up next.
Good evening, Dominica, and welcome to tonight's weather broadcast. I'm your presenter, Marshall Alexander. We begin by taking a look at earlier infrared satellite imagery. What it showed is this area of convection off to the southeast of the island chain. This is following the passage of a tropical wave. Taking a look at earlier visible imagery. What it showed, the associated cloudiness off to the east of Dominica and across the southern portion of the island chain. Now taking a look at earlier radar imagery, and what it indicated, shower activity mainly off to the east coast of Dominica and also across the southern portion of the region. Tonight's weather is expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with a few brief scattered showers, and tomorrow's weather is expected to be fair to partly cloudy with a few brief scattered showers expected mainly during the early morning period and late afternoon. Sea conditions are expected to be slight to moderate in open water with waves peaking near 5 feet. The 72-hour projection brings a tropical wave or the axis of a tropical wave just east of the island chain by Saturday morning. Conditions for the next 3 days: partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers expected on Friday, with a relative improvement in conditions expected by Saturday. Also, a reduction in wind speeds can be expected by Saturday. For the rest of the Caribbean tomorrow, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a few scattered showers expected across the extreme northern and southern portion of the region, where fair to partly cloudy skies can be expected across the central portion of the island chain. Our international cities forecast: clear skies can be expected in New York and Beijing, some thunderstorm activity expected in Miami, cloudy conditions expected in London, and partly cloudy skies expected in Caracas. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:57 a.m. and sunset at 5:45 p.m. Please remember that we are in the hurricane season. For more information, you can call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit the website at weather.gov.dm. Thanks for viewing. Have a good night.
That's news. The headlines again. Priority areas to help Dominica out of poverty discussed at a one-day consultation Wednesday. The European Union and other foreign governments commit to a plan to benefit Dominica and its farmers. And Tropical Storm Erica pushes a local business $1 million in the red. Let us know what you think via email at news@mapping2k4.com. You can also access our past newscast on our Mapping News YouTube page. On behalf of the production team, I am Lurian Graham Carter. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.